Yeah. Welcome to another edition of Views from the Friend Zone podcast. I could say happy Sunday, y'all, because we eventually have gotten back to some semblance of normal as far as the protests dying down. Well, it's revving up, but we're seeing less and less violence during the protests, less and less looting, so I'm happy about that. You see, we got a king in the background doing his thing, you know what I'm saying? So
we all kings, my brother.
Like always, we introduce ourselves. It's your boy Real Talk Mall. It's your boy Cliff Rock Banam.
Open Shirt Poppy, y'all.
Yes.
Put your fist in the air.
Shout out to Open Shirt Poppy. He participated in a protest on Queens Boulevard.
Then it called none of us to come through.
If he would have gave me the heads up, I would have pulled up.
Kind of shady.
Not shady.
Right.
It happened.
No, it ain't
right.
happening.
So y'all are out there. Y'all ain't in Queens with me.
He's supposed to group text us like, yo, boy, we got to start this movie. Come through. Yeah. And then we would have pulled out. What's the problem?
The next one, we're going to all be out there.
Yes. So, obviously we're doing a podcast, so I don't want too much side talk. Open Shirt Poppy, let us know how the protest was, how the vibe was and all that.
Well, it was my first ever protest. It's funny because it coincided with my 20-year anniversary in the military.
Congrats
when I first joined the military,
Congrats to that, yeah.
So that was weird, but I first showed up at Queensborough Hall. There was a large gathering, of course, and they were speaking about everything that was going on, getting the crowd, excited and not excited, but motivated, you know what I mean? Because we were walking from Queensborough Hall on Queens Boulevard to Sean Bell Way, where Sean Bell was killed however many years ago by police. So we marched from Queens Boulevard to Sean Bell Way, which is, I don't know, 2.5 miles, 2.5, maybe 3 miles, something like that. And it was like, I felt empowered, you know what I'm saying? That the whole time we marching, you got police on the side of us, like on both sides of the crowd, and we up there chanting. I was like, no justice, no peace, no racist police. And I made sure I was looking at them when I was saying that. I had my sign and everything like that.
Let them know what your sign said.
Let me see. My sign said, I protest today so our children can prosper tomorrow.
Yes.
And then it said,
and that's beautiful.
Black Lives Matter.
And that's beautiful, right? Because a lot of the times when we do things like this, it's not necessarily for us, but it's for our future, right? For the ones after us to kind of, when they did the boycotts and the bus boycotts and stuff, they knew necessarily that things weren't going to get better in their lifetime, but it was hoping in our generation things to get better. Unfortunately, we've had progress, but at the same time, we're still stuck behind. Like there was a few, go ahead.
What we did we marched all the way. If anybody know Queens, they know how it go. Queens Boulevard to Jamaica, down Jamaica to Sufton, past the Long Island Railroad over there. Everybody was outside, looking at us. Some people from their apartment was banging on their pots and honking and stuff. And then we got to Sean Bell Way. There was some more, speeches and stuff. And then one of the kids that was there talking, they had us kneel down for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, which is the time
that George Floyd,
that cop, piece of shit cop was on George Floyd's neck. Yeah. And just kneeling down for 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
You felt it,
right?
A
long fucking time.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, damn. And can you imagine being on somebody's neck, cutting off their breathing for that long? Like,
sidebar, I was telling Clifford, right? Like, just to give you an idea of how long that is, right? If you ever been in a fight, you could fight with someone for 3 minutes and it feels like it was a full-fledged fight. Boxing matches are 3 minutes around, right? Because
professional boxing,
professional, right? Because after all that activity, you need a break. So imagine just a knee on your neck for that long.
Not only on your neck, you had 2 other cops on his back, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
But
I'm trying to keep my composure because
but
you know what I'm saying? I got a lot to
the
like.
reason why I'm not as strong to completely say F police, because it's, to me, we know good police.
And we got cop friends.
We got cop friends.
Not all of them
pretty much cop family.
I got cop friends, cop family.
Yeah. And I pray for them every time they go out and do their duty, right? Because, you know, everybody don't always have their best intention when it comes to dealing with police. So we get the job is hard, but at the same time, you're trained and you chose to be in this job. So you have to have a sense of professional decorum when you operate them. For case example, before we start the show, I have a good friend that, you know, who's a cop. He's a cop. He's a cop who's the son of immigrants, but when you see him, he just looks white. So you would consider him just a plain white cop. And we go back and forth about certain issues. And I was telling him that, you know, I know you're a good cop, but sometimes cops operate with this mentality that I'm not going to speak out against my fellow cop brother, regardless if it's right or wrong. And at the same time, before we are in our possessions, we're human beings. And that's what we're really trying to get the bad cops to see, like, yo, you can't see that person as your brother, but you should, because it's another human being. You know what I'm saying? I think that's that's what separates us from animals. You know what I'm saying? Human beings from animals. We're supposed to have that sense, that thought to understand that, like, yo, we should have compassion for other people.
It's funny, because I spoke with two of my good cop. Well, one is like a good friend of mine. We've been friends for years. You met my boy German from upstate.
Yes.
He's NYPD, and he completely understands. He's Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? He's from the hood. He understands the anger and the just outrage by the community. You know what I'm saying? He's pissed because he don't like dirty cops neither, but he hates the whole anti-cop and defund the police
because it's
type of sentiment.
It's painted with a broad brush, right?
Yeah, but this is what I tell him. I understand that, because I'm not saying all cops is bad, right? But how is it that you don't want us to paint all police with a broad brush?
But they do that to us.
They do that to us. You know what I'm saying? It's more, it's not, oh, most Black people are good people, there's just some bad apples. It's no. When you in the hood, like, everybody's a suspect. Yes. Everybody, you know what I'm saying, is liable to do some craziness. You know what I'm saying? These people are animals. You know what I mean? This is the sentiment and police and the force. And the same thing you just said, Mom. I told them, I was like, you can't just basically, like, say, okay, I'm a good cop and then there's bad cops. If you're a good cop and you know of bad cops, I feel like every cop, if you've never had to check one of your other officers at any point, then you just as bad as them. Because I know you've seen bad policing.
A blind
you know what I'm saying? You've all seen bad policing. This don't just happen once in a blue and there's always somebody with a camera around. Nah, this is behavior that's taking place regularly.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Cliff?
No, like, even when I talk to my cop friends about the situation, and you know, they understand it, but you know, they're training to operate, to be like very militant, to stick together. So it's a time and a place to talk to cops and reach out to see what's going on. But you know, when the situation presents itself, they don't really got time to be like, oh, you know, that's wrong, whatever too. But forget all that. Let's just talk about act like a human. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I understand that you're a cop, but you're a human being first. Like, when somebody's treating somebody like an animal and not even a human, forget that you even a cop. Just as a human. If you seen that, if you're walking down the street, Mike, and you see a man doing that to another man, whatever too, what is your normal reaction? You're gonna be like, you're not gonna be like, that's not my business. You're gonna be like, hold on, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You know, just being a human, you know? So the situation is very difficult, especially, the situation is very difficult, especially when you look at it when you're in a uniform. Yeah. But you just gotta take the fact that, you know, you gotta treat people as a human beings. That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And last thing I want to say before we start the show is just like, there's a big thing, especially in New York City. They have these signs all over the place, the advertisement all over the place. If you see something, say something. And that's regarding to us monitoring terrorism and certain crimes. But police officers got to keep that same energy. Yeah, if you see something wrong, you got to say something. Yeah. You can't want us to be global citizens and keep our environment safe by being diligent and alert. And you're not operating the same way when it comes to, lack of better word, supervising your colleagues.
You know what they say though? All right, well, I'll check them. You want to seem united in front of the civilians or the outsiders, and then you check them behind closed doors.
Yeah, that's what I said.
But that can't be the case. I'm sure y'all probably saw the video in the protest of the white cop. This black woman was on her knees and she had her hands
and
up.
The white cop pushed her.
He pushed her.
The black cop
and then the black female cop pushed him like, "What are you doing?" You know what I'm saying? That's it. You gotta check them sometimes immediately. It can't be, "Oh, I'm gonna do it later behind closed doors."
Because you look complacent. You look complicit to what's going on.
But we can't, like I said, we can't fault them 100% because in the academy they're taught to, don't go against the grain in front of civilians, right? Yeah. I work in an environment every day. I see it. Some of the shit that go on, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. You really jacking what's going, you agree with this, but I get it. After the situation, they write it up and they talk like, listen, man, I'm not gonna be doing too much this. I just lost vacation days for you. You know what I'm saying? They talk about it after, but in front of it, like when you're not on the force or whatever, you call the civilian. So in front of the civilian, you gotta stick together. That's just how they was brought up. So some of the injustice, I get it, but when it goes too far, when a man is gonna die, you gotta step in as just a regular person. Forget your uniform. You worry about your job later. That's just as a regular person and something that's morally wrong. Yep. You gotta step in and just do what you gotta do. That's why the whole situation is so crazy, because it's like even some of the officers that was like their third tour. Yeah. Their third day on the force.
But I don't feel sorry for them because the human.
Oh, their third, yeah.
Like you said, as a human being, you got to be like, yo, I don't care how long this person has been on board. Right is right, wrong is wrong. Yeah. Look, just being afraid to not say to your partner, hey, look, man, you're going too far. The other cops threw away their lives pretty much too.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny? One of the most successful movies was one where a white cop had to check his black partner who was out of control for that day.
Training Day?
Yeah, right? And the only reason he checked them is because he was like, you ain't gonna pin no murder on me.
Exactly.
Right, so you try to get me killed. But it's crazy. Yeah, he wasn't even gonna confront Denzel until Denzel was like, yo, he paid the dudes to kill him. Like everything else was gonna slide for the day. And that's real. That's how the cops be. Like,
well, that's a fact. All right, so let's go. Let's get
to the show, man.
Regularly scheduled show, and we want to talk about social media and how it's changing the world one post at a time. And the reason why I say that is there's so many different clips. Like, think about it. It wasn't only the fact that George Floyd was killed in the manner that it was. It was the fact that it was captured and posted on social media and went viral throughout the world, right? That's what sparked that change. That's why we're currently in the condition that we are. And it seems like so many times we talk so bad about social media sometimes, about people are frauding and people are fronting and, putting out malicious or fake, content or images. But sometimes social media is done well when they capture these injustices and bring people to justice, right? Yeah. Without a video of George Floyd being killed in the manner that he was, where would we be at? People would still be sweeping all of this injustice under the rug. So the first topic is social media changing the world one post at a time. Social media has given a voice to previously voiceless. Do you agree or not? Go ahead, Cliff.
I think social media. I think social media is a gift and a curse, right? Mm-hmm. Social media could be very grateful and positive because it give an outlet to certain people that you never really knew their character, their personality, and what they're about. But also with the Drew Brees situation, you see how his social media did him. Just tweeting it and then having a conversation. Now he's considered the bad guy in the NFL, right? So like I said,
who that? You talking about
Drew Brees? Drew Brees.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So social media could be a blessing when it comes to enhancing business, giving somebody a good personality or just a different outlook so people can really get to know who you are. But also it could kill your career too. One post alone could finish your whole career. Tokyo Jets. She was playing around on social media and said, "Oh, I'm a George Floyd you" to one of her friends. It went up. 10 shows got canceled. She was already artist on the rise. It wasn't like she had a big fan base where everybody knew. Do you even know who Tokyo Jet is?
No.
I heard her.
That's what I'm saying.
Not
You heard
really.
of her, but she was on the rise and now and she's doing really bad. So I'm saying social media is a platform where it can help you or it can kill you at the same time. You just got to be careful what you post.
But
That's why I love social media. Social media is amazing because for that reason, just like excuse me, like you just said, you have to be somewhat responsible. You see what I'm saying? You want to post all this stuff. You want to give people insight and bring them closer into you and see part of your life. There's a level of responsibility with that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't feel bad about Tokyo or anybody else that does something stupid like that for the world to see. You know what I'm saying? But even getting deeper, not even social media. The Buffalo Bills, I think, backup quarterback, the dude Jake Fromm.
Yeah.
Who had some old tweets. You gotta be careful about these girls.
The problem
mad
is
at you.
He texted
not
to a girl
tweet.
that he trusted. But gotta understand,
she must have been pissed.
Every time you send something out in the world, you gotta understand the person that you're dealing with could become an op very soon.
Yeah. You gotta stay on the good side. If you're gonna be saying shit like what he said was only the elite white people should be able to have access to certain firearms or guns or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's that type of mentality. He's a young kid. He's not like as old as Drew Brees is, but it's that type of mentality that bugs me out. Like, you know what I'm saying? The thought process that these entitled white people have. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the problem. No one's breaking the cycle, right? That's why we're really screaming out to people like, if you want to be an ally, it's one, you can't stay silent when these things happen. Two, you have to take the time and teach your children, right? Because kids.
No, you know who's breaking the cycle? And you said teach your children. You seen the video of that little white girl arguing with her father,
parents.
right?
He's checking her
Sometimes
parents.
the children got to teach the parents.
That's a fact.
She said, no, that's not right. I'm going to tell you what it is. He was like, will you shut up? She was like, no.
And he's just like, I work in the ghetto. They don't care about the ghetto. And that's the bad part about it, right? Because people come into the situations with their own preconceived ideologies, right? You go into hardship, and if you come into the hardship saying, look at these people, quote unquote, they don't care about their environment, they're acting like quote unquote animals, like they like to use that term and stuff like that. But they never understand what causes the environment to be that way. The lack of resources, the redlining.
The systematic racism that led to this. And they don't want to hear that.
Exactly.
They don't care.
My response to social media does give a voice to the voiceless, right? Because so many times, people who may not necessarily have the fame and notoriety can use social media to voice out their concerns, to organize, protests, all it takes sometimes is the right caption, the right voice, the right saying, the right hashtag to get your response and your impact spread globally, right? Sometimes, like I've been on a show where it's just like, you say something and it goes viral, and then without you knowing it, 40, 50,000 people see it unpromoted and stuff like that. That's why, we have to use our platform safe. We have to use our platform responsibility. At the same time, you got to understand, even when you think something funny is a joke, you got to realize how much of an impact that you can have. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's so critical for us to use our platforms in a way where it's just like, we're spreading love, we're spreading knowledge, and also we're not being silent, right? Because one of the biggest problems I have is I have a lot of friends who aren't, Black, who aren't Latino, they're of other cultures. But every time when it comes to something like this, they just get radio silent. They won't say nothing. They won't engage.
I didn't tell you this, but one of the things that actually, I don't know how to feel about this. I don't know if it felt refreshing or if it felt disappointing. At the protest, there was such a mix of people out there. You know what I'm saying? There was whites, there was Spanish, there was Asian, there was Indian, there was whatever you might think. Everybody from all different creeds and colors. And there was a good amount of Black people, not overwhelming amount. But yeah, the white people come out. The white people, and that's the craziest thing about it. When the white people are enraged and the real people who believe Black Lives Matter, to be walking next to white women, white men, and they're yelling Black Lives Matter, it's like I don't know how to feel about it. I mean, I'm so happy. I'm glad y'all supporting us and you get it. You know what I'm saying? So that's a start, but just the fact that we got to say that, you know what I mean?
But you know what you have to give them props for? One, to be honest with you, they can go about their day and still continue to live a great life and not interrupt their life like that. Yeah. The only way we really get our message to really impact is when we get people who don't look like us to care about the matter, right? Because when it's just us who are protesting and saying things, we get put into boxes. They're just angry. They're just upset. And they don't give us validation. But when people are compassionate enough to believe like, yo, this is really a human, police brutality to minorities is a human issue, right? Just as much as people lose their shit when you abuse animals, it's sad to even make this the correlation. People from all walks of life lose their shit when you abuse animals. White, Black, Asian, Indian, Pacific Islander, whatever. People just, as a collective, lose their shit. They don't hesitate to be like, oh, I might offend people. They just come out and say it. And this is a human issue. When people are brutalized by the police, when people are racially profiled, when people are killed because of their creed, that's a human issue. Blacks happen to be the higher number of victims of it, but it's a human issue at the end of the day. It's a human rights issue. And that's what we need to see. And on a complete side note, the same thing when people of, transgender, gay, bisexual, whatever spectrum you land on the LGBTQ spectrum, when these people are harmed and assaulted and killed because of who they are, that's also a human rights issue. You know what I'm saying? The problem with it is that we like to just say, I belong to this group and I'm only going to defend this group. And that's the problem that we have. So the next question is, the next topic or subtopic is, the biggest innovation in social justice has been the camera phone. Agree or disagree?
Right, Cliff.
What you injustice as far as what we mean?
So like the thing that has allowed us to completely make bigger strides in getting notoriety of injustice and getting people informed has been the camera phone.
Yeah.
You agree or disagree?
I agree, but the camera phone's been amazing, just especially for us in the African American community. Just think about if he didn't have his camera phone when that thing happened in Central Park. When he told the lady just put the dog on the leash, and the lady was trying to say this African American man
assaulting
me. Think about if he didn't have his camera phone and he didn't record her. What the consequences could happen? Now you talk about that Black gentleman who was a Harvard student, businessman. He could have been in a real situation, because once the cops come and they see that, you think they're gonna be like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah. No.
They
want to put you in cuffs first.
Listen,
which is the craziest thing. We're gonna put you in cuffs while we figure this out.
You got this white lady making up a false allegation of this man just because he told her that he put her dog on a leash. And now what happens is they're gonna put him in cuffs. They're gonna be very aggressive. And now he got a situation for something he didn't do. Think about how powerful that camera phone say that that camera phone saved that his life, because even when he gave the speech, you could see that he was hurt because he was like, he couldn't believe what was going on right now. Yeah. You know, think about if he didn't have a camera phone, he just had a regular phone.
Yeah. What do you think,
Mike? I think it's wonderful. It's absolutely amazing because everybody has one, for one, so anybody can record. But I didn't think back to Rodney King, and that wasn't a camera phone. That was actually like a camcorder.
Yeah.
And that whole thing was caught on tape, and the fucking cops still got off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's good. I mean, it can't hurt to have the actual visual evidence when you go to court or something like that. It's always a plus, but it's a spit in the face when you have that evidence, which you think would be like open shut case, and these motherfuckers still get off somehow. Like, that's the thing. Like, Rodney King was almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And
92.
Yeah,
it was 92.
92, right? Almost 30 years ago.
But to agree with you, I get what you're saying, but think about all the justice that the camera phone did for us. Yeah. Out of all the situations that you know us, because somebody recorded. Yeah. If somebody didn't record this would just be a conversation. Sorry. If all the injustice that's been going on to African American people, if it wasn't for the camera phone, we wouldn't have known half the story because it would have been remixed. By the time the media and CNN, Fox 5 get it, it's a whole nother story. Yeah. So they're gonna cut half of the story apart, and they're gonna put the story that makes it seem like, oh, we were aggressive in the situation. So the camera phone is just a blessing in itself.
Yeah. I think the reason why it's the greatest innovation for us for social justice, that and the combination of the internet and social media is like the holy trinity of it. It's because a lot of times, a lot of crimes are either brought to justice or prosecuted on word of mouth. And usually when the word of mouth is you against law enforcement word is held to the highest standard compared to you. So now
this is what we protesting for, to change the law in regards to how cops are prosecuted. Yeah. Now any cop that got a problem with that makes me think that you got something to hide or you're not doing your job right.
We're gonna get to that in more detail in this topic, but it's just like having visual recording of events allows you to, and thank God that people are being great global citizens and are recording when they see these interactions, right? Because when the cops is messing with you and you pull out your phone to say I'm recording you, a lot of times they get so aggressive to you, you don't even get the chance to record. It's few instances where you get to pre-set up your phone and know that you're about to have an interaction.
And then, who was it? Not the head of the cop, whoever they are. I forgot his name. In New York or what have you. He wanted to make it to where people can't record the cops doing their job.
Right, that's the next topic.
What the? I'm leading you into it, man. I'm setting you up.
But you're not letting me finish my thought. So, what you call it? So, having that combination of having the visual proof of what you're saying has allowed us to be able to combat some of the reporting that sometimes officers say, you did this, you was aggressive, you reached for the phone, I feared for my life. And then even with visual evidence, we get disputed a lot of times, but now because of this escalated height of recognizing that, look, these things aren't always what they seem. For instance, in Buffalo this past week, a 75-year-old man who was on the streets, from what we see, it doesn't appear that he was aggressive towards the cop. It looked like he went to the cops to ask them something. It was like, get out of my way, push him to the ground, busted his head open. Thank God.
He's bleeding. He was bleeding out his ear.
Yeah.
And they just
walked over him. Thank God that he's in stable but critical condition. And
he was a white man.
White man. The crazy thing about it is they suspended the two cops who were heavily involved in that situation. And the outrage of the Buffalo police involved 50 police officers.
54.
54 police officers quit their job.
Because, no, they didn't quit. They didn't quit the job. They quit the task force. They ain't stupid. Okay. They don't want to do the task force no more. But fuck it, quit. I would have said quit. If you got a problem with that, you should quit.
But the thing about it, just because you're being held accountable for your actions, that's the number one thing that this whole thing about is accountability. Anyone who always, because you always hear from, you know, outsiders that if you were quote unquote behaving, things won't happen to you. If you were doing the right thing, these things won't happen to you. And you see that it's equal opportunity for bad things to happen for people, even when you're just kind of minding your business. We've seen pictures of people who's just like, yo, I wasn't even protesting. I was walking alongside the side of protesting. Rubber bullet shot into their head, piece of flesh missing off their head, almost dead. And think about it. If they shoot you that directly with a rubber bullet, imagine if they was using a regular bullet.
Well, these cops are so used to not being held accountable, bro. So it's like, now all of a sudden you want me to follow rules? I'm enforcing the law. I didn't say I had to follow it.
And that's the crazy
you know what I'm saying?
So we'll get to the last topic and this topic was social media changing the world one post at a time. And this is what Open Shirt Poppy was alluding to. The president of the Internal Order of Police Officers, which is a union of police officers, 300,000 deep across this country, wants to make it illegal to film cops doing their job and make it punishable by law of 15 years. This was a statute that was in place, and then they had took it down a long time ago. But this person, who's the head of the police order union across the country, wants this to be put back into place, which is absolutely nuts, because to think about it, it's saying, to me, this is what it's saying. I'm so used to not being held accountable for my actions. The audacity that you want to record me performing my job makes me feel uncomfortable. Now, don't get it twisted. If they want to put in a law in, if you're prohibiting the police from doing their job, like you're jumping in their way, I could get where you could kind of gray area that. But to say if I'm an equal distance away from you, but I'm just recording what's happening so that I can make sure that civilian is safe, and you're trying to make that a crime punishable by 15 years, that's nuts.
But you see, there we go. Like the reason why they trying to do that, because how great the phones been doing for justice for African Americans, just people in general. The fact that people can record and put it out there, you can really see how your favorite actor thinks behind the scene, your favorite athletes, everybody. It's not just the police that's going through whatever too. The phone is being able to record and capture certain things is the best thing that happened to people, period. It helps, because all the killings that we had, all the things we had, half the stuff would have been not even talked about. How you gonna give somebody 15 years to report and to showing the injustice that's going on across the board? It's not just happening to Black people, whoever.
People in general.
And just cannot do that.
And just to reiterate what I said earlier, you literally had a promotion say, if you see something, say something. This is literally living up to that. You know what?
If I see something, I record something.
I'm recording it. And then now you have a problem with it because we're exposing America's ugly side and the truth of law enforcement. Go ahead, Mike.
If you see something, say something, unless you see cops doing something. Then they don't want you saying or doing business
after that.
That I feel the same way. And honestly, I think him coming out and stating that and trying to get that put into law, he needs to not be in that position anymore.
Yeah.
Because I didn't hear or read exactly what was his reasoning behind it, but I can't see how you can justify that. Yeah. How you can justify it. They put body cameras on the cops specifically because
they turn it off during an escalated situation.
That's the thing.
Got the man in Louisville.
They can turn them off.
When recently, last week in the protest, a business owner who owned a barbecue business, who let cops come to his barbecue business, eat for free in Louisville, was shot and killed by police and some members of the National Guard. They're saying that he opened fire first, right? Which to me, anytime I hear this, I'm always saying with a grain of salt, in this time period, who is going to just open fire in front of the police in their right mind? But my thing is, boom, as police officers, you have body cam to confirm what you're saying, right? And all of their body cams were turned off? Does that make any sense?
What a coincidence.
It's that so many times I forgot to turn the body cam on. No, it should be second nature to have your body cam on, especially engaging these situations.
And if it's not on, you should be held accountable. You should be punished.
Of course.
Like
that's something you gotta explain. Why was your body cam not on?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the body cam was what? Supposed to help law enforcement to improve certain things, also to catch.
It's supposed to protect them.
Yeah,
it's supposed to protect them from people filing false claims and stuff like that.
If you're trying to protect each other, why all your cameras got turned off? It was a code of silence that basically this is about to turn left, and we got to do what we got to do.
Yeah.
So
and my thing also is, if you are so genuinely convinced that you feared for your life, why wouldn't you want to have the camera recording to validate what you're saying? I feared for my life. Look at the crazy situation I was in, and I acted accordingly. My thing is such a loaded statement. I feared for my life. That allows cops to get off, unresponsible for their actions. And my thing about it is, don't get it twisted. We all acknowledge that being a police officer is a hard job, right?
Hard job.
You leave your house, you come home. Every day you come home is a good day. My thing about it is, there's an implied danger in your job. So you can't willy-nilly always say, I feared for my life. Don't get it twisted. You are allowed to be scared. But for them to always use that statement, I reacted this way I feared for my life. I didn't see a gun, but I thought he was reaching for a gun. All of these implied, excuses, for lack of better words. My thing about it is, if that's the way you're going to operate, always aggressive, always looking to exterminate before you de-escalate situation, you're not in the right position. You're not doing the right job.
You're not. And
if I'm afraid, if I'm scared of blood and having people's life in my hands, I shouldn't be a doctor.
Exactly.
I shouldn't be a surgeon. I should do something else.
My thing, for you to drastically automatic put 15 years of somebody recorded, when we're not even sure if the people that did this harsh crime is going to receive 15 years?
Yeah, they don't even get 15 years for murdering citizens.
No,
how many times are charged?
What I'm saying,
cops are charged with first-degree murder. It's never first degree.
What I'm telling you is this: they break it down to second and third-degree murder, right? Because once you do that, it goes from 15 to 10 to 7. Then with good behavior, it goes to 3 to 5. Next thing you know, that cop is in a program, and now he did 2.5 years, and he's out. It's so many. Let me tell you something.
And he gets to get a good job when he leaves. Not a police officer, but security, private security or something.
When it comes to the force and stuff, it's so much things that you can get away and make somebody sentence lower, no matter what the crime is.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what the crime is, because all they got to do is put in the media that he got this amount, but then behind closed doors, they could be like, all right, he never had a record before, never any more priors. Let's put him in this program. Let's do certain things. And don't get to higher up. They all in cahoots with each other. Next thing you know, he did 5 or 6 years when he was supposed to do 15, and another 10-year slide. So they always could cover up what they want to cover up. So my thing is, you trying to give an innocent civilian 15 years for recording something that's unjust.
More time than you'll give the officer who committed the crime.
It doesn't make no sense.
No sense at all.
Across the board. And it just show you, even the head of the union for all the police, whatever, too, he has some kind of racism or something is wrong with him. I'm not saying he's racist, but something's wrong. You can't expect to give a civilian 15 years for recording something that's not right. And then also the person that's murdering don't get first-degree murder because he's a police officer.
Let me say this. It's crazy that officers are saying, I'm hearing a lot of officers saying, oh, we're under attack. Our way of living is under attack. This is the bed you made. You're not under attack because people are just being ridiculous. This is the bed you made, the consistent lack of accountability. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, They always want to do backgrounds of when they kill someone black to say, oh, look, he had tickets before. He got arrested 25 years ago for some stupid ass crime and stuff like that. But then a lot of times we find out that these cops who are supposed to go through stringent background checks have ties to white supremacy groups, KKK groups, this, that, and the other.
Or like the cop who killed George Floyd. How you gonna have 18 complaints against you? 18 and 18. No kind of discipline?
And my thing about it is, if anybody who works at a job, I worked in corporate America, whatever job, you get written up more than 3 times, you don't usually keep the job.
No.
Exactly.
1 time is a warning. 2nd time, they put you on probation. That 3rd time, you're done. It's a 3-strike rule. But to get 18 incidents against you, it's more than a pattern, my G.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But when it comes to law enforcement and that kind of work, whatever, too, the fact that you have a union, the union could
union fights for you.
Union fights.
Yeah, I know. I'm a union man. Cliff, you a union man.
That's what I'm saying. So I can literally not go to work for a good 2-3 months, whatever. If I go to my good union director, I gotta be union director and go to him and explain why he gonna go in there and fight, and most likely I get to keep my job. So it all depends who represents you. Well, law enforcement's a little tricky. So those 18 complaints could be all tic-tacs. Like, all right, his union was like, yo, it wasn't much of a big deal. Not saying that he didn't do nothing wrong, but when you're a union worker, unless you're just straight up not doing your job, you're not gonna get really fired from your job.
This is the thing, and I think this is bringing it all full circle. This is the thing. Why we protesting and why people are so upset about this. Police are supposed to be held to a higher standard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When I put my uniform on and I serve the country in the Air Force, I wear that uniform. I have to be better than I can be when I'm just regular civilian, Mike. You know what I'm saying? I'm held to a higher standard because I am now representing something. They're supposed to be law enforcement. They're supposed to set the example on what we're supposed to do in society. Not only are they not living to a higher standard, we just want them to live to a normal standard and
be held accountable.
Be held accountable like every other civilian is held accountable for their actions. They got it even lower. They're not held accountable. They can do what the hell they want. It's crazy.
Let me say this last thing, and then we're gonna move on to the next topic. If they're not being held to a certain standard and they have training, how are we supposed to have civilians be able to comfortably react and act with these people who are quote unquote scared for their life when we're scared for our life too? And we have valid reasons and proof that we continually to get killed to be like, yo, it's honestly, when you say you're scared when you interact with cops, you can see why. But for some reason, they're allowed to say, I was scared for my life, and that'd be the end all be all. But we're going to move on to the next topic, and still kind of similar vibe, right? Is when silence speaks volumes, right? And I said it earlier, when you have your friends who aren't of the culture, always say how they love you and enjoy you and respect you. But at the same time, when issues that affect you arrive, they kind of be like, well, that ain't really my problem, so I'm gonna stay out of it, kind of thing, And the reason why, also another topic that I want to touch on, the silence speaks volumes, is there's been video recordings of police officers. There's a famous video that got viral of a soldier who's standing guard at a protest, and it's like, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, and he's whispering it. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. It's a black soldier, right? And he knows his job is to defend and keep order, but he's hurt and he's touched by what's going on. Have y'all seen that video?
Yeah, I've seen it.
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
He was a soldier.
A soldier, and he's whispering, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Like he's with the people, but at the same time, because of work, he can't really fully indulge himself into the movement. So the first question is, when your non-minority friends remain silent about the issues that affect you, how do you feel? Like, I have so many friends who are of, different cultures outside of, Black and Latino, and they love me. They always want to hang out. They want me to have dinner with them, meet their family. They think I'm a good guy. But when these issues arrive, it's like they say nothing or they avoid it. And to me, my thing is, if you care about me, you got to care about me all the way. You can't care about me because I'm a fun guy. You got to think about you. To me, it's a human. Like I said, it's a human race issue. I need your human capacity to come out when these things happen. How do you feel, Mike, when your non-minority friends remain silent when these issues?
I mean, like they've been saying, that silence speaks very loudly, speaks volumes. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind having uncomfortable conversations. I'm comfortable being uncomfortable in most situations. So I'll call them to task if I feel that there's somebody who I would expect it from. I think we all know who we deal with, whether it's a friend, associate, or however you see him. You know what I'm saying? But if it's somebody who maybe I would have expected something different, I would have expected them to speak up, or they claim to be, you know, real supportive and da-da-da-da, I would then call them to task. Like, yo, I don't hear you. Like, how you feel about this? You know what I'm saying? Like, my closest friends, and that's why I even know before situations like this. Who gonna say something, who gonna step up, you know what I'm saying? So the ones who don't, I'm usually not surprised, but if I would expect that from you and then you silent, you know, I have no problem just being silent with you for here on out.
No, honestly, I can respect the silence when you're not educated about it. I'm cool with that, right?
That's becoming the excuse.
That's becoming the excuse. No, listen, I get what you're saying, but I'm gonna explain that, right? For instance, there was a situation. I don't want to elaborate too much. It's my job. You know, somebody who wasn't educated sent a crazy email in my job, Mike. Like it was extreme to the point where you come back and you read this email and you like what just happened?
What was it about?
Huh?
You don't want to get in details.
I can't elaborate on it because it's that crazy. It got real. Like he's a big dog and everything. I'm not gonna go to the name, but what I'm saying, when you read the email, you like you literally felt your body shaking because it was inappropriate. So and he's somebody who spoke about the situation of the whole George Floyd situation, right? And he didn't even get a check. Like he didn't get a background check to ask any of his African American friends or anybody to see if there's an appropriate email. He shot it, he sent it, and it went crazy in there. Okay? Everybody's mad, and I don't want to go too much into it, but what I'm saying is I'd rather somebody don't speak on it if you're not educated about it. Because at the end of the day, you have some white friends, I have some white friends, Morv have some white friends. They've never been around African Americans until they met you. And that's real talk. So they can't speak up or step up for certain issues when they don't know nothing about it. So a silent killer that's not educated about what's going on, you can't feel how I feel as being a black man every day if you don't know the struggles that I have to go to. Even when I'm in meetings and stuff, I gotta act a certain way. I can't act the way you act in a meeting because it's consequences to my action. So I respect the silence. I don't respect people who speak publicly that doesn't have a fucking clue. That's what disturbs me. Like you have never been through anything that says that you're African American, and then now you want to speak up and act like you know. Even for instance, situation. Not my boy, but I was talking to my boy Odd, and one of his friends, quote unquote friends, said, "Beach lives matter. Beach lives matter too." But it's beach like,
what does that mean?
Beach lives matter too. Like basically, like, oh, it's just not black lives. Like beach, like going to the beach, like just making fun of it.
A stupid joke. That didn't land.
It was a insensitive joke, but and it wasn't me to check them, but I was like, yo, these are the people you hanging with. You need to evaluate your situation. Listen, I don't give a fuck who you are. Fuck boy is a fuck boy. I don't give a fuck if you have $100 million. I'm good on that. You can't do that. It's right now, we all feel like we got hit with this one. All the other things that happened in the past happened, but this one touched home because you look at that man's face and you could tell that he was not, it was a look of, Like he was.
I'm gonna do this, and it doesn't matter because I'm good. I'm gonna get away with it.
It was a devil looking at man's eye. I don't care anybody say it was a devil looking at man's eye.
It was a look of, I'm above the law, and this nigga's gonna die today. Sorry, excuse my language. I know we're on the podcast, whatever too.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with the silence when you're not educated on the topic and you don't really want to offend anybody. But don't jump out the window. You don't know. You don't have a fucking clue to wake up to be a black man in this country. Being a black man in the country is not a privilege at all. We see it every couple.
It's a burden.
I'm
proud to be black, but it's a burden.
Of course, 100%. Every couple months, it seems like every couple months we're talking about the same thing. You can even from our podcast.
It's every couple of weeks now.
Listen, even with our podcast, and we go through half our podcast. We some of our podcasts we talking about being racially profiled. Like it's just disgusting. So I'm okay with the silent people who don't have the education of knowing what's going on. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But when you want to jump out the window and act like, okay, it is what it is, it ain't is what it is.
Yeah. But I'm not saying the silent people, like, they don't know the facts, so they can't really speak on why stuff is wrong and da-da-da-da. I'm talking about the people who just, you know, maybe won't even engage you in the conversation. Be like, yo, it's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now, bro. How you feeling? How you feel about this? This is wild.
Let me step in and say something, right? I understand where Cliff is coming from, but my thing about it is the caveat I have to make to what you're saying. There's a difference between being uninformed or uneducated on the solutions, right? I don't look to my white allies or my non-African American, non-Latino, right? Because let's be honest, this issue affects black and brown people more highly than any other people, right?
Yeah.
I don't expect you to have the solutions, right? Because even myself, I'm gonna join a protest tomorrow, but I haven't done no protest yet because I'll be at night thinking to myself, what is the best course of action, right? What can we do? Like, to me, it's about making your dollar make sense, right? It's about voting. There's a lot of things. But I don't have all the answers. Like Kanye said, swear you don't got all the answers, right? So I get that. My thing about it is the difference between not having answers to solutions and acting like there's not a problem out there. That's my problem, right? Because when things happen that affect the global community, everybody's vocal. White, black, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, when the issues affect black and brown people, it seems like a lot of people who are supposed to be friends and people that you care about completely ignore the issue like it didn't happen, like it wasn't news. But hold on, let me finish that. But so that's my issue. My thing about it is, even all I ask for those who consider themselves allies is solidarity with me. Say, you know what, Mo? I know I can't say that I know what you're going through because it's not me, but I stand with you. It's not right. It's wrong. Even taking that stance that benign will make the racist people around you feel like, man, if Tim feels that way, maybe I should check myself. Because when more of us feel that way, it means nothing to me. But if Tim can feel that way, and it wasn't someone who looked like Tim who got assaulted, killed, etc., then it opens up the eyes to other people like, I need to revisit my stance. Go ahead, Mike.
That what you were saying just it made me think of the comedian. I sent it out.
Michael Shea?
I think it was,
Michael Shea?
What's his name?
Michael Shea from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Michael Shea.
And I thought about it because I said, we do it to ourselves. Like that one part where he was like, he said, when people talk about slavery and stuff, they be like, oh, that was 400 years ago. You know what I'm saying? We say that to ourselves, like, don't let that hold you back. I understand that. They be like, well, get over it. Or this happened and this is holding me back. And they be like, get over it. But you mentioned 9/11, which happened in 2001. It's 2001. Never forget.
Never forget.
It's never forget. So you don't never forget is the slogan for that.
Because 9/11, and we don't want to discredit 9/11, right? Because that's a tragedy. But it's honorable. It's honorable. Slavery ain't honorable because it's just dealing with us. So it's honorable. 9/11 will never be forgotten because it's considered honorable, or you know what I mean. And that's quote unquote. You know, it is what it is. Slavery is just.
It was done. It was done to the country. That was a violation of the country.
That's what I'm saying.
Slavery and this injustice is a violation to a certain group.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
So for the people who say that, right, get over slavery and stuff like that. So my thing is, let's pass a mandate. If your family has prospered due to slavery, had adventures due to slavery, you don't even have to give us black people money. Give up your land and your wealth that was derived that to the Native Americans who country you stole. Let's start over. Let's start fresh since they.
It still baffles me because I saw a list of all the different groups, and not only in other nations and other countries, here in the United States, that were paid reparations for things that were done against them, right? And it's only us.
Got reparations. Jewish people got reparations. The Italian people got reparations. The Irish people got reparations.
Asian people got reparations.
For all issues that, you know, sometimes the country wasn't even the main culprits of it. We still send money to Israel on a yearly basis. I'm talking about billions of dollars to Israel because of Holocaust type situation. But people who are still here, who did it to.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody can get reparations except for us. I don't understand that.
Bob Johnson from BET.
He said 14 trillion.
He was like, we need to get 14 trillion. Now he was just on the Breakfast Club explaining it. And I was like, 14 trillion dollars, this dude, that's a lot of money. But when he explained it to me, I'm like, damn, he's right. Because it's
how can any white person ever call a black person lazy? How can you call? You got years and years of free labor. This country was built on our backs.
It's just crazy how
I haven't got enough vacation to make up for all of that. I shouldn't have to work for 25 years just to get started.
Mike, it's just crazy.
Come on, let's be serious.
It's just crazy how it's 2020 and things has never changed. It's like, it's never gonna change. And then the problem is us being as parents.
No, don't say that. Don't say it's never gonna change.
I wouldn't say it's never gonna change, but it seemed like a long time. And you being a parent, me being a parent, just in general, you don't even have to be a parent. Just educating your daughters or whatever. Just knowing that there's certain things they're gonna be held accountable for, and they're not gonna know why. Because
the thing I struggle with. Let me
finish what I'm saying. Because of stuff like this, like to explain it to your 17-year-old or any of your kids, and they're like, you know, they see what's going on, but they might have white friends and they might have, you know, and they think everything's okay. They're never gonna know until they be put into a situation. Oh, I see what daddy's talking about. What daddy's talking about now. Yeah. You understand? And
it breaks your heart.
It's scary to me because I don't want to, like, my daughter.
You don't want to teach your children to be prejudiced or hate white people.
Like my daughter.
I got to teach you the history.
You got to teach them to be alert, to look out for certain things.
My daughter, who she go to school, one of her best friends, like, quote unquote, is this little white boy, and the parents they came to her party, like, they're hella cool and everything. But I'm thinking to myself, is like, and I'm not a racist. And, you know, I've been around a lot of white people and I have white friends and stuff. But I want my daughter to marry a black man.
Well, they're not racist if that's what you want.
No. I'm just saying in general. But I it's going to be hard for me to explain certain situations when she get caught up. Because everybody get caught up. Everybody been in a situation like, oh, really? That's what's going on right now. Even in the work environment. You don't even have to know to see, I see what's going on here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't take a rocket science to pick up what just happened. And you know what I'm saying?
And let me add one more thing to that. It's the country and the way of life has been so bad. When shit happens to you, you're so confused sometimes. You're like, damn, did this happen to me because I'm black? Like, even when you don't want to believe that it's racism and stuff like that, the fact that it's just so systemically happens all the time, sometimes you're like, it doesn't make no sense to you that why certain things happen to you, except for that you're black. Let me give you an example. I'm having a conversation, like I said, with a cop friend, and the lady in the wheelchair who was protecting the looters from Target, and she said that all these black people attacked her. I don't know. This happened in Minnesota.
I heard
They have a video clip of it. I'm watching the video clip of it. A white lady walks out with bags of items from the Target. Walks right by the lady in the wheelchair. She says nothing. As soon as a black person comes out with something, she rams her wheelchair in front of them. Then she pulls out her knife and starts to try to quote unquote defend the Target. My thing is, 2 seconds before that plastic came out, she seen a white lady with 2 bagfuls of stuff walk right by her and said nothing. And I said to myself, and then the person tells me like, oh, so it's okay that the black people started beating on the lady in the wheelchair? I said, my G, she pulled out a knife and started stabbing at them. And she used her wheelchair to ram into them. But you're telling me, oh, but they assaulted her.
But you know,
that's the point.
I don't care if you're in a wheelchair or not. If you got a weapon, then you can be assaulted. You can be assaulted.
You know, this is not a time. Listen, honestly though, this is not time to get frustrated at your white friends and attack them or feel a certain kind of way. You can feel you feel. You just evaluate what's going on in their head and what statements they give you to know if you're gonna be friends with them long term. Because this is the time you gotta make a cutoff point with them, okay? And no real talk. Because even when you said you at the protest and you like, it's kind of weird. You see white people saying Black Lives Matter and all this whatever too. But there's nothing wrong with to say, you know what? I see you here for the cause, but what's your issue on it? Just ask a simple question. If they don't answer, if they don't answer, it's fine too. But if they give you an answer, then you be like, then you know where they stand.
That's one of the things. There was 2 things I was gonna say that I regret during the protest. One was after it was done, I walked past like a group of NYPD, and most of them was white, whatever. And I wanted to talk to one of the white officers and just ask him, like, you know, what do you think about this protest? How do you feel about this?
And you know what, though? That was your time. And you know, it's a lot going on. You protested. You had a good cause whatever too. But that was your time to get the questions that you needed to so you wouldn't have to be. You could be less frustrated to see what's going on because. Like I said, it's every.
Or I could be more justified depending on his answer.
That too. But like I said, every cop is not a bad cop, right? Because we all got cop friends that are pretty solid people, and you know we don't. It's so crazy because it's like you throw them in the ring of fire too because you're just like, man, our attitude right now is fuck them all. I don't listen.
I know. Y'all know who we should have had on the show. We should have had what's his name on the show?
Reggie,
yeah.
But he won't do it. He won't do it.
Oh, because
I have plenty of cop friends who watch the show, but they say I can't do your show.
Listen, I got about 8 friends. Even I had one that Farmer was an ex-cop. Farmer was a rebel.
I know, yeah,
Farmer don't give a fuck, so he'd do it. But I had one of the cop friends. He's a cop in PA, whatever too. He's like, yo, Cliff. Any other things you already know how I'm playing for you. I would did it, but this right here. I can't do because it'd be the simplest thing. The job is micromanaging every police officer right now, whatever they do. So I get it.
They say that, but a lot of them get away with being KKK people pretty free.
No, what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying?
What I'm saying is.
And I hear you. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not trying to put anybody under the microscope with it. But you definitely should ask your questions, Mike. And you are the type of person that speaks up. So I'm shocked you didn't ask not one white person.
I don't know.
Lesson learned.
We're getting. We have short amount of period of time, so I want to like reel it into so we can ask some other questions. Second question: is it okay to disagree? It's okay to disagree, but when people you love don't care about the issues affecting you, does it change how you feel about them, right? And it's tough, right? Because sometimes, you know, I'll have conversations, my wife, other people, and it's like, you know, she feels concerned because she realized that because of the way I look and stuff like that, that I can be a victim of it. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, sometimes people you talk to, they're not as, it doesn't bother them as much. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, does that affect how you interact with people? Like we're talking about with our non-Black and Latino allies and friends and stuff like that. Like, you know, when they're just like, yeah, man, things are tough, but you got to get over it. Like for instance, I don't know if you watch Insecure. Do you guys watch Insecure? Mike, you watch Insecure?
Yeah, I watch Insecure.
So when Molly went on the trip, right, and then the Asian, her Asian boyfriend's brother was just like, You know, sometimes you can't be that angry. You got to let it go. You know, some people will tell you how you to feel and it doesn't bother them as much. Does that change how you feel about them? To me, it hurts me, but I have to also understand that God created us all differently, and you should love people for their actions and the way they treat you, but sometimes they're not going to see it and feel it the way you feel it. What do you think?
I think it shouldn't change the way you interact with them, but you definitely should evaluate where their political stands or whatever they stand for, right? Because at the end of the day, I feel like everybody got a form of racism, whether it's good or bad, right? Like,
there's no good racism.
No, there's no good racism. I'm just saying.
Biases, acceptable biases, and not acceptable biases.
It's no good racism. What I'm saying is, I feel like in certain things, when it's with issues, with certain issues, everybody has their favorite of what is right and what is wrong. So sometimes people are like, oh, it's not a big deal, whatever, too, because it doesn't affect their own. Like your wife is Puerto Rican. Mm-hmm. So if it was a Puerto Rican man on the floor, not to say, and we love him, said, you know, we're not trying to bring that into the situation. If it was a Puerto Rican man on the floor and that happened to, just to say, not saying she was involved, that you think the response would be the same?
She's non-controversial, so she'll be like, it's messed up that it's happening and stuff like that.
But
I don't think she's gonna go protest the way I want to go protest. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you know, it hurts.
But the reason you got that urge and the reason I went out there and protested is because it's like, we in our late 30s now, right? We're in our late 30s, which is not really, really that old. But how many of these situations have we seen? I was like, it's amazing.
Too much experience in this shit.
I can't imagine being like 50, 55 right now. And this is just like, this has been going on for so long. So many people have died. So many people have died. Like in 92, with Rodney King, I was 10 years old, right? So the verdict, I think, took like a year. 93, whatever year. It might have came out later in 92.
Yeah.
Them cops getting off, I was too young to recognize or understand what was going on. I knew about there was riots in LA, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't know, like, really, I just knew it was wrong. I was like, damn, these 4 cops beat up this black man and it was recorded. How did he get off? You know? But that got I guess covered up in the media about an OJ trial and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's always something that comes along to like cover some shit up.
Yeah.
But this is not gonna go away, right? And it never should go away. And I want to say something that irked me because I know y'all probably seen the video of the I don't know if she was young or not, but the black girl, and she was saying how George Floyd is not a martyr or
Candace Owens. I hate Candace Owens.
Candace Owens, right? This chick. And I'm like, it's funny because she mentioned George Floyd and his past and how bad of a person he supposedly
She's like,
was.
oh, he's not a martyr.
He's not a martyr. But she didn't mention Tamir Rice. She didn't mention Trayvon Martin.
Yeah.
It's not just black men that's out here getting killed. Our black boys, our women.
I know, women. Breonna Taylor should get similar energy, and she
like.
does.
Why didn't she mention that? That's what I'm saying. Why don't specify certain person? And George Floyd is not a martyr, and he is not the main and sole reason why all of this is going on. What he is the match. He's the match that lit the already doused in gasoline house.
Yeah.
The house is already covered in gas, and it needs a match.
He's the baseline of how many times you're gonna fucking slap a black man in the face and they just get away with it. Yeah. Like, you know, and there's nothing to talk about. This time around, we're not going for it. That's what the protest movement is built. It's like, enough is enough. If you don't want to hear us, we taking another route. So that's what's going on. Like,
that's the looting and the rioting. I'm not for stealing, right? I'm not a thief, and I don't believe you should destroy another man's property, right? But at the same time, I listened to this video of this young lady, and she was saying, we tried the peaceful route, all right? If somebody continually tries to speak sense into you or justify a cause by talking to you and having you hear them out peacefully, and it falls on deaf ears, right?
Yeah.
I might have to get violent because that seems to be the only language you speak. You see what I'm saying? I want you to
America
hear me.
forgot that's the language they spoke to get their freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The revolution, you know, the Boston Tea Party, all those kind of things.
But quote unquote, because it's in the history book, it's considered classy. And you ain't got no.
It's considered patriotic when they do it. When it's
patriotic. Yeah,
you ain't
patriotic.
got no Black Panthers in no fucking textbooks or anything that talks about this and that. So if it is considered a way that Americans feel like it's acceptable, it's cool. But you know, to going back to the question you asked, if you got friends that brush it off, you know, like you still value their friendship. You just know certain aspects you can't have that conversation with them because it's a red flag for them. It's not comfortable for them. So you just look at it as that, you know, because you can't force everybody to have a conversation with you about this kind of issue, right? That's how I look at it. That's why I stand with it. Like, you know, even yesterday, I got a supervisor. We was talking about it, and she was asking me questions just from my perspective, and I was like, she was just, you know, she just wanted to be more educated, and I said, Dr. Harris, you know, it doesn't matter. I said that I was explaining the situation to her, and she understand 100% what I was talking about. But you know, even as we left for the day, she was like, "Yo, you educated me on something I just didn't know." You know, so it's okay when people ask you, it's okay to talk about it and give an explanation about it. But if they don't want to talk about it, being silent or whatever, it shouldn't affect your friendship.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but at the same time, it sort of goes back to what I was saying earlier. If you're for me, I need you to be for me all the way, not just in the ways that suit you and make you comfortable. I need you to be able also to get uncomfortable, also to like kind of, don't get it twisted. I don't expect all the, you know, all my allies to be out there protesting and doing things for me that you don't expect from me. But my thing about it is, understand that this hurts me deeply. Even though George Floyd wasn't my family, George Floyd looks like he could be my family. George Floyd feels like people I know. I grew up with people who look like George Floyd. George Floyd are like some of my friends. You know what I'm saying? We have friends who are big and look like George Floyd, especially because we have a lot of basketball friends and stuff like that. George Floyd was a former athlete. My thing is compassion. I just need you to show compassion. I need you to understand that this affects me and you can't just brush it under the rug. So the next question on this topic is, because we're going to end the show at 6:30, so we have a couple more minutes, is remaining silent, is the fear of saying something the wrong thing, or is not caring? Like, do you think that they're more, like Clifford said, sometimes they're not educated, it's more of a fear of saying the wrong thing, or sometimes it's a lack of caring? What do you think?
Honestly, I don't know what it is, and I don't care at this point. I don't care. That's not for me to worry about. And I would hope it's maybe because you just feel so clueless to the situation that you can't say anything, as opposed to you not having any feelings on it. But even that, the ignorance is then, I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on. Because my whole thing with it is just like, if I can compare it, make an analogy, like, if you come to me and say, oh, my family's under attack, we're under attack by such and such, whatever, my family's under attack, and I say to you, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but I hope you find your way out of that, or your family's okay. You're not my friend.
Yeah.
A real friend is going to be like, well, how can I help you? How can I help protect you and your family?
Yeah.
My family's under attack, and you don't know. I may not be able to go into specifics why, but you're like, oh, I hope you
even if it's not 100% safe, you could say, is there anything I could do for you? That shows a general olive branch of, you know what, I'm trying to show that I have compassion for you.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cliff? Is it fear of saying something wrong or not caring?
About if
when people outside of your community remain silent, but they're your friends, is it a fear of saying something wrong? You kind of said that earlier, but I just want confirmation.
Yeah, like
or not caring.
like I said, I try to look at the standpoint of, if you don't speak on it with me, I feel like, you saying silent, which is not okay, whatever. But if you don't want to talk about it and you want to just, have our friendship for what it is, then don't speak on it. Because the wrong thing, I might also look at you like, so what are we doing here, right?
Yeah.
One.
You don't want to.
Hold on. That one statement could be like, what are we doing here? This is how you felt the whole time? This, I don't care what it is. There's always been a situation where one friend says something to you like, oh, okay, this is how we think about it. It's a tough time right now, right? We all fired up. All of us. If you're an African-American black man right now and you are not fired up or you're not passionate about talking about anything that's going on right now, and that's just, and you feel like, sometimes people are in certain places, they feel like, that ain't me, fuck it. It is what it is. I'm getting money. I'm rich. I'm doing this. That's for the, this is how people talk sometimes. That's for the people that ain't got money. That's what's happening. That ain't gonna happen to me. But that's why it's important, somebody who has a platform to speak up. The Jay-Z, the Puff Daddies, if you got
even Michael Jordan says something.
The Oprah, the Bob Johnson, the Tyler Perry, anybody who got some significance in African American community and people respect to that point, you gotta speak up, because enough is enough. Gayle King, whatever, even the media, Gayle King on her side, whatever. You can't just say. Sometimes you can't just worry about your job.
Yeah. You
gotta worry about, what? This is getting out of control. Because when you're on that platform already, you made it this way, you're gonna make it against someone else. Yeah. So when you're a political figure,
especially when your wealth is not in question.
when your wealth is not in question and you're a political figure, you not and you somebody who celebrities they look up to, and you got a platform. One thing we'll say, I can never call Nick Cannon a clown, because Nick Cannon is always on the front line when it comes to stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Always on the front line. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. More than most.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I always say, like, what? I don't understand the people who are like, passionate about these issues, and like, well, don't get it twisted. I don't watch nobody's pocket, right? I'm not going to tell Will Smith and Jay-Z and all these people who have money what they need to do with their money. I don't talk about that. But my thing, what I always kind of find funny is if speaking out may take your brand, may quote unquote hit your brand with certain people and stuff like that. But at the same time, your well-being is not affected. You have generational wealth and stuff like that. Like, to me, it's like, what are you really losing? You might be not as popular as before, but you ain't gonna go broke. You know what I'm saying? And you're still gonna be able to feed your family. You're still gonna be able to have that power. That's why I respected the stars of yesteryear, the Harry Belafontes, those people, the Sidney Poitiers, the people of that generation. They weren't getting money like the money we're talking about. Like, some of these people were in movies and they still had to have jobs outside of the movies because they wasn't making crazy money like that. But they still took the time out.
That's the real sacrifice.
You know what I'm saying? That's the real sacrifice. To me, it's just like, nowadays, our celebrities feel like if they did a tweet and a hashtag, they did enough, and it's all good. You know what I'm saying? I want to discuss the next topic, but, we're coming at the end of time. I want to give us enough time, because the next topic we was going to discuss is what's next when the protest stops, right? But I feel it's a disjustice to give it 5 minutes and then not. Like, we need to really deep dive in that, right? So just know that next week we're going to pick back up about that. Like, when the protests stop, what's next?
And sure, it's financial. It's financial protest.
It's financial. It's organization. It's voting. There's a lot of things, but I want us to have in-depth conversation about that. So we're going to end the show like that. It's another great episode. Thank you, brothers, for giving your voice, you know what I'm saying, and let your voice be heard. Mike, give a shout out before we close out.
Not really a shout out. I just want to, tell all of our people, all of our brothers and sisters, right? We have to be consistent. We have to be consistent. We fired up now. We got to stay that way. You know what I mean? We gotta practice what we preach. You know what I'm saying? They always gonna try to twist it and say something like, "Oh, well, you guys are killing each other." No, you gotta be out here letting them know that We care about each other. We support each other. We love each other. All right. You don't have to love us. You know, you don't have to love black people, but you must respect us. You know what I'm saying? You must give us the same respect you give any other human being, right? We need to be treated equally. If you going to quote unquote say that this is the land of the free and this is the place where equality is part of the foundation. Nah. Let's be honest and say our foundation is flawed. This country was built on the back of slaves, okay? So the foundation is fractured. But we don't have to keep it that way. All right? We can say, yeah, we started out for a bad place and now we're at a better place. But if you want to continue to deny where we came from and you want to continue to treat us as second-class citizens,
then you just support the status quo
and expect it to get ugly.
I don't really want to do no shout outs, but you know what's next is I wanted to really to go back to, like, you know, when we were younger, to community centers, when we was taught certain things, like, because it's not about us really, it's more for the next generation. We need to stop the cycle now so they don't have to feel the anger we feel. And then we could raise them to be young black women, young black men the proper way. Like, we confused because we like, yo, 92, yo, it's been 20, like all this time.
Our whole lives.
And stuff is still going on. So I want us to have more community centers where we have these programs that we talk to the youth. Also mental health workshops, different things. We can
save some of that for next week.
I definitely will, but I gotta put it out there. Like, that's important. We talk for the next generation. If you don't want to do it for your generation, do it for your youth and your kids and the next upping young black women, young black men. It don't have to just be black people, minorities in general. So we can stop the cycle. So this could be enough is enough, and we can educate them. Yeah. You know, volunteer your time. You know, volunteer your time properly. That's all.
Yeah. I agree with everything that my brother Cliff, my brother Mike has said. And then, you know, I totally agree. We have to focus our energy and not necessarily what satisfies us, but what's going to make our future generation have a better life. Our grandparents and our parents sacrificed for us. They went through the civil rights movement. They went through Jim Crow. They went through certain things for us to have a better standard of life. And now we have to take what they did and take it to that next level. We have to take some of the things that Barack Obama wanted to get done but wasn't able to do, and we have to fight to make sure our next person we elect as president keep the energy and progressiveness, right? Because we all know we took a big step back these last 4 years under Trump, the way he has devised this country, the way he has made people, racist people feel empowered, whether he believes that's his legacy or not. That's his legacy as a president. You know what I'm saying? He didn't make any economical change that changed people's lives. He didn't do any policies that changed healthcare. He didn't do any policies that changed infrastructure. He promised a wall that he didn't get done. So a lot of his people are upset that there's no wall. Ironically, he built a wall around the White House, putting fences around the White House because shit got hot when the protesters got too close to his front door. So as tough as he talked, he built the wall around the White House, not around the country like he said. But the last token I want to say is I am trying to really think about ways that we could change. I'm starting a movement called Love Us, right? And it's an acronym. Let's organize, vote, empower, unify, and speak out. That's Love Us, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna slowly, as we get further and further into the summer, into it, kind of build upon Love Us, you know? We gotta have certain movements where we strategize and strategically plan what's next, right? Because when the protests stop, we don't wanna lose all the momentum and the energy, right? Because we can't continue to protest. We could always continue to protest, but with the riot and the looting, we know that kind of energy has to die down somewhere. So we got to find out what's the next strategic plan to let our voices be heard. The beautiful thing about, if you could say beautiful with all this ugliness, is we're in an election year. So this riled up energy that we had is not necessarily just on who we're going to vote for president, but it's the other offices. It's demanding certain things. It's
local offices.
Vote, I need this from you. And we need to also find out who has our best interests, who are speaking to what we need and supporting those people. A lot of times we only know about Joe Biden and Trump, We don't know about the sub positions, the Congress, the Senate, the House. What's the platform they stand for? We have to educate ourselves on those things because we realized that we went so strong for Obama, but we didn't see who was the Congress he had to deal with, who was the Senate he had to deal with. And he got blackballed so much while he was in office because the other people who was there wasn't supporting the things he wanted done. So I'm gonna end it on that. Like I always say, we gotta go out there and chase our legacy and not our liabilities, right? We see how important our legacy is, right? Because we see that, you know what? God bless the dead. George Floyd, he didn't know that, you know, that day he was gonna die and change the world. You know what I'm saying? As sad as his death has a legacy that's going to be so strong. And I know his family would much rather have him here. But to know that in death, your life means so much more and it's changing the world, you know, that's what I call a beautiful blessing in a bad situation, right? So we can't let George Floyd die in vain. We can't let our people continue to die in vain and not use that energy to spark a change. And change has to come not only necessarily in protest, but economically and also in our vote. And we'll talk more about that next week. We out. Peace.
Views.